And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to one of our spiritual topic discussion nights from the Paul Christian Spiritualist Church, Paul, Dorset, on the South Coast in the UK. Huge welcome tonight to two very venerable gentlemen. We have with us tonight Mr. Stephen Mayger. Stephen is a working medium and healer from the Portsmouth area, which is down on the south coast of the UK. And alongside him tonight, we have the lovely Jack Eckhart, who is a very good friend to us over here in Poole, and will be an absolutely awesome day when we actually get to meet in reality. Stephen, good evening, welcome. Jack,
good evening,
thank you. And welcome. Thank you very much. The topic tonight is we're going to talk about virtual spiritualism. We all understand the background of to why these things are happening now. When we suddenly found ourselves confined to homes with our religious centres everywhere being closed on us, we started this movement to bring spiritualism online. Initially, to get us through those days, to get us through, if we cast our mind back nearly 2 years ago, it was that one unifying moment of humanity where we were all in the same boat. We were all unsure, frightened, locked away. Our whole world just stopped. And during this time, we found that with the various churches and centres started slowly to find their way online to keep that reach going out there, the sense of community in that virtual theatre. So this has just recently really evolved. I know a couple of the organisations were working online for a while, but that was pertinent to their organisations and not really in the public field of view. But now I think today I had a quick look at the online services and we've got 42 online services tonight. And that list goes on every day and is fantastic numbers of the number of spiritualism meeting places that are available in this new virtual theatre. So what I'd like to ask first of you gentlemen is, regarding your mediumship, how have you found this time of working online? And we'll start with you, Stephen, because you're a relative newcomer to the online experience, correct?
Yeah. I've done one or two before the one I did that Sunday that you saw.
Yeah.
And they've all been slightly different, but I've watched quite a few. So I've been in the sort of congregation of quite a few and watched them evolve a little bit from the beginning.
Brilliant. And as a medium, how have you found that transition? Because I know sorry, Karen.
I was actually surprised at how easy it was, because I think we put limitations on it that aren't there. We're dealing with spirits. It doesn't matter where they are. They can communicate with the medium and they can be with the sitter at the same time. We don't know why. It's just part of what we experience. There doesn't seem to be any time or space that involved.
Yeah. So regarding your actual mediumship, just as a poll question, stronger, weaker, or about the same as when you would be on a platform, or just you can't compare because they're totally different vibrations?
All of the above.
Fair enough.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
It does.
All of the above. It's each moment seems different. You have the same nerves and you're feeling them and seeing them the same way as you do normally, because you're still using your own faculties. So that doesn't really change. So it's just how you're passing the information on and how they can respond. And that's the bit that throws me the most. Is on Zoom, at least you can ask to speak to the person and I'll be guided to them in the same way I'll be guided to them in a church, because I've got their loved one with me and they're taking me to the person they know and love well. So I'm more or less usually spot on once I've blended with the spirit person, and then they take me to the person they're looking for. Online, it's just that little bit more difficult, because at least in person, you might be with the person in the seat behind the one you're thinking you're with.
Yeah.
So you've got that location physically, but when you're looking around a screen at all these names, it's not quite the same. That's where it suddenly you realize how different working online is, because up till then everything else was the same. The way you link with spirit, the way you prepare before the service. I mean, for me, I quite like the traveling because I can sit on a train for an hour and sort of drift off into my own thoughts rather than having to worry about driving. So I can sort of be more prepared for the service. But online, I think if you're at home in your own space, that already puts you in quite a good mood and good place to work. So I don't know, there's so many pros and cons that they cancel each other out, really. Overall, it's a positive experience, and your faculties are there regardless of where you are.
Wonderful. I fully relate there. I had the most magical experience working online where the communicator was there. I'm in my lounge and I've got this strange man stood next to me talking to me, and I was just like, this is absolutely wonderful. I love it. I love it. Jack is, as I've said, the president of the Danish Spiritual Association. And very early on in the game, Jack took his association and his work also as a medium very much out there into the online arena. So from your mediumship perspective, Jack, how have you found this time, please?
As for everybody, I think at that time it was very challenging to figure out what to do now. Just for a start, just figure out which online platform to use. I think I spent 8 hours every day just sitting with Zoom to figure out how the technique actually worked. That was a big start. I think it's easy for those that's coming in later on, like Steve, have time to be comfortable with it in different ways. But before I did teaching, I still do, but I do teaching, I did services, I did DEMS, circles, and all these things. That's all. Everything is a part of my mediumship in that way. So suddenly, from day to day, we had to change that. Being there physical with the students, with the congregation, with the fellow mediums, and things like that, and to turn that around and getting it all out online, there was a lot of thoughts about it. I knew that, of course, we can work with spirit online. Basically, spirit is always online, aren't they? So, so the work with spirit wasn't a chance in any way. I think there was a lot of thoughts about it, but I have been doing settings by the phone and things. So, of course, we can do it through a screen as well. But one of the things was, now when we're doing like a platform, now we don't have the living congregation in front of us. We don't have the energy. We don't have the energy of the chairman of maybe the fellow mediums. Suddenly we're just sitting alone in our own living room. And we have to contain all that energy and work with all that energy on our own. Where I'm the type of medium, when I'm on the platform, I work with the congregation, like that. And suddenly just sitting there alone and don't have all that energy around me, just me and spirit. But what I actually experience is what it's kind of made a different blend with spirit in that way, because I had to put all my attention to spirit suddenly, where I was used to have a lot of my attention to the congregation and things. I have realized through I don't know how many DEMS and services I've done online these days. I don't have done any number of it, but I've done a lot, both Danish services and English services and DEMS. And what I've realized is the interaction with the congregation. You will still have it online. It's just different. You can still use that energy from the congregation, You can still work with the congregation. It's just different.
Yeah.
Same way when you're teaching now, we have like on Zoom. I do my teaching on Zoom because there we have those breakout rooms where we can say, oh, now you're going to do one-to-one sittings. The exercises like this and so and so. So now I put you in pairs or small groups out in those breakout rooms. That would be like at your church, Lawrence, put them in different corners
Yeah.
like that. The challenge is you when you have them on a location, you can maybe stand outside the door or just stand around the corner and listen to what is going on. You can't do that like on Zoom because you have to enter the breakout room to follow them, and that can be a disturbance for the students because suddenly you all over the screen and they're like, oh, panic, you know. uh, but they have got used to that part as well, and I've found out that I can just kind of turn off my camera and my microphone and things, so I won't be popping up on the screen when I'm entering the ring. It's small details like that I've learned by experience, and again, those now we are on StreamYard. I mostly use Zoom for teaching some things, and the case is that those platforms is changing all the times as well, aren't they? So new things is coming in, things we know just suddenly disappears and things like that. I've tried realized in the middle of the service that some of the functions was changed. I was going to explain the congregation how to do so and so, and suddenly they have changed it. So I have to look other places for it, and it's like, panic, panic, panic. So it's there has you have checked it earlier in the day, and when you're going to log in, you will have a message. Oh, there has been an upgrade and things like that, and I don't have time for that now. It does work without. So you have different things that can be a disturbance in that way when you're going online. But thinking about it, when we are on location, hey, things turns out to be often to be different than you thought. The medium that should come is late because the train is delayed. There's a road work. All these different kind of things that that can disturb. And as a medium, no matter if it's on location or it's online, all those things will have an effect on our mediumship one way or another, as well as our daily life and things. So basically, my experience with the online world has just been getting used to it, and it works perfectly fine. Working mediumistic early, both with messages, with bringing loved ones through, doing philosophy, doing teaching, all these things. It works perfectly online. My experience with the teaching parties, though, that's and with it all, it's like a little bit is missing, especially with the teaching. It's when you're developing, if you're only doing it online, this part with working the congregation, working the clients, is so different online than on location. So there's, in that case, as a developing medium, I'll advise do whatever you can to get on location with it as well. Don't only do it online.
Yeah. Wonderful. Actually, very comforting to hear, Jack, that I know you're working in a non-UK location, but you have trouble out there with trains and roadworks as well. So everybody in the UK, please take comfort from that. It's not just us. How wonderful. Very good comment coming in here from Steve Evage. Just saying, good evening, this is lovely. As a non-medium, to hear how your mediumship works. It's been an amazing, really, that two positives have come out of the last 18 months. spiritualism brought into our living rooms, and people who may not otherwise have pursued it being introduced to spiritualism. Very good point, Mr. Evidge. Very good point. So we know we've got an idea now of the differences. There are some questions coming in, and I'm going to keep them in line as this evening progresses. So don't think anybody's being ignored out there. I have worked online wherever possible because I am fascinated of this time, on how this has gone over to the virtual world. Those that know Paul Church, we stream our services live. We started doing that after the first lockdown, so that people who were still reluctant to come out, and absolutely fine. I always say to people, if you're not comfortable coming out, don't come out. Really easy. But they could still sit at home and enjoy. A side effect of that, which I hadn't fully quantified really, was the amount of people, and especially, this is often brought up, we in the UK do not understand how lucky we are to have so many spiritualist churches and centres. Because in countries, I know Jack is working very hard to get spiritualism recognised as a religion over there in Denmark. Once that comes about, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, you can then have the churches. Would that be correct?
Yeah, we just need the money for them, though.
Yeah.
But that's just a minor detail.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about that. But, as I said, when we started going online, I was amazed. We got a lady in today from Philadelphia who's been with us from the beginning, a lovely drone. There is Christina Thaloris in, and there's so many people joined us from Europe and America and across the world. And I really did not think that would happen, but it has. But we've brought spiritualism, our little part at Paul Broadcasting Services, so people can actually see what a spiritualist church service is like. And alongside all these wonderful mediums who are working and doing the divine services online. But like yourselves, I know there have been some absolutely crowning moments of our works online. And also there are times it's bringing in a few new challenges for us, not only as mediums, but also as people. I have seen examples there where the medium goes unacknowledged coming into the room, and there's no guidance. I find that very strange. The medium is sat there in our box, which is wonderful, and going, what do you want me to do? Because you've not told me. So, gentlemen, either of you, have you got experiences, good and where we could improve in our presentation? Don't be shy.
Jack, if you want to answer.
Yeah. My experience, I've had mostly good experiences, I have to say. With a warm welcome, with a good introduction, have had a chat with them before the service, so they knew a little bit about me and things like that. Has been most, but I have tried this as well, where there hasn't really been any debate before. I've tried. I had to write to ask, do we have a link for tonight? Just like when it was coming up to 10-15 minutes before, and starting to worry about, am I on tonight or what is going to happen, because I haven't got any link. Oh, sorry, I have missed back. Oh, sorry, I just forgot about that. So I got the link and last minute, and that was like, yes, good evening, everybody. And, oh, yeah, we have a Danish guy, Jack. So we'll leave it over to you, Jack. And he was like, okay, that's fine. So I don't know what format you want, what format you normally have, but I'll just deliver mine then. It's. But hey, what are you gonna do? It's normally I'll try when when I'm with somebody new. I usually try to come and see some of the events before I'm on myself, to have an idea of how does it work, with them, because the, they're all different. We are all different, and different ways, different styles, different formats. Some have a healing moment, some don't. Some have 3 or 4 songs. Some haven't any songs. Some expect us as a medium to bring the songs and basically take over the entire service with the technique and everything. So it's what I've really learned is just to get in touch with them. If I don't have the day before, just write to them, ask them what is the format, how are we going to do this? Are you doing the introduction? Am I doing the reading? Am I doing the address, or does somebody from the church or the center do it? Because it's like it's so different from place to place. So it's yeah. So I won't say I have had bad experiences, but I have experiences that have been brilliant, and I have had good experiences. I think that's the way I would put it there.
Yeah. Stephen, sir, how?
Well, I think a lot of the things that can go wrong could go wrong at a church anyway. The sort of lots of confusion sometimes, or committees change, and sometimes people are away and someone else takes over the room. And sometimes you join a room and they're busy chatting away and they acknowledge you, but you just jump in the middle of a conversation you know nothing about, and it feels a bit awkward. But it's again, it's very similar to turning up to a church, and they welcome you in, but you kind of interrupting their natural flow, and they're all getting together and chatting away. And it's very similarly, if you're not sat in another room somewhere, they'll chat away about their whole life's history right in front of the medium, and you've got to sit there and because you want to do a good job as a medium, you don't want to hear it because you know it's going to play on your mind. So it's very similar problems, but I think especially at the beginning, people were more worried about trying to replicate the service. So when I've been asked to do one, I've always been sent an order of service, which it's slightly different to the typical platform service, but the fact that they still try to bring a song in, still try to have like a singer or get someone to do a solo, it's quite nice and endearing, because it's the same but different. And I mean, like I say, I've every time I've done it, I've been given an order of service. And I think with any medium, you need to build up a repertoire of readings and talks that you could give and add on to and get your timings right. So you still got to have the same sort of level of discipline and good practice to apply, whether you're in house or online anyway, because you could go into a church where no one tells you the order of service. You don't know if you're doing a reading, have a hymn, and then do the philosophy, or do them both together. And both before and after lockdown, sometimes that would get confusing. So you had to be prepared for any eventuality anyway.
Very true. What I get from when I can dropping in and watching various events online, this came in with an air of temporariness. Everything was temporary. We were locked up temporarily. Things changed. We just got this air of temporariness. That, to a degree, in my feelings and energy, with some people is still there, and you do wonder, where are we going to go with this? Because we've got this absolutely awesome tool now, where tonight we've got Poole, we've got Portsmouth, and we've got Denmark, and online we have got most of Europe and the USA. This is never ever going to go away. Really isn't. It is not going to go away. So I'm very keen to promote what I would say, and I haven't got the answer to everything, and I'm not right in everything that I say, but I do want to bring in sort of like good practice for online, because we get amazing people who we would never have on location. Lovely word, Jack. Thank you. And share their gifts and everything with us, and that needs from our churches and centres online to sort of like to rise up to that, to bring up a benchmark, to bring that in and acknowledge that. We got the lovely Monique on from Holland. She's just saying she started online 10 years ago and noticed that her link with spirit was stronger working online because she wasn't distracted by the audience and she could focus more on spirit. Monique is a lovely lady and an absolutely awesome medium. And I do need to get her on one Saturday night. I hope you're listening, Monique. And Sue Townsend here was just asking, we're just backtracking a wee bit here. After giving messages over Zoom with everyone appearing in boxes, had you so adjusted to connecting with spirit in the home situation? I think this is the crux. Did you find it strange standing back on the platform in the real world? That's a really interesting question about returning to a physical platform. Stephen, sir, you've experienced both sides of this.
Yeah, I think as I'd started working on the platform a couple of years before COVID, if I hadn't have got started already, I think I would have been very apprehensive doing it now. When I returned, I was so glad I'd already started before lockdown. And, I was worried I'd be a bit rusty, but, that the very first message, I remember the humor that came in with it. It was like the spirit world trying to lift our spirits up. And that very first message, it was like spirit talking, not just to the person that I was giving the message to, but to everyone, welcome back. It really did feel like they were glad to see us back together. They know we've been doing our absent healing and working online, but there was a thrill all around that we were able to blend in the same space. So as much as I'd like to champion, working online, that return to the platform it just reminded you how important it was. And the congregations got bigger than they were previously to lockdown, because people suddenly went, oh, I was just putting it off, and now life's too short. So that was a positive impact on the churches. I think they've generally been a bit busier.
Yeah, very true. Jack, sir, how have you found that returning to a physical location to work?
In my mind, the first time standing in front of people was a little bit, but not about the mediumship, but about just being among people again. And I think if it was mediumship or whatever we do, when we have been in a long time lockdown, as we have all of us, just getting near people again, it's like, oh, stay away, So, but that was more about the mindset. Mediumistic, I found it as easy when I just got over the mindset about this being amongst people, living people again. It was like the mediumship was, I feel, as it used to be, and I think it may be even stronger in a sense. And that was, but as Stephen said, I'm glad I have done a lot of platform work before the lockdown. Because if I had, as I mentioned before, is if you have only, and I have seen mediums that have trained online a lot, and it's like they're missing something when they stand in front of living people, because they're not used to that interaction with people. And I was reminded when I came back on the physical platform on occasion, in the difference from being on online, was this interaction with people. It was, I just had to spend just a few minutes, to get back into it. But it was a reminder to me of the importance of when we are doing this work, when if we are working online, if we are training online, just make sure we are doing it out together with people as well, in churches, in centers, in halls, wherever it is. But just having that interaction and that disturbance, as that can be as well, as also as somebody mentioned here, you know, because within that disturbance, we have I think we have to remember it's all energy, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
just to me, it's just about how we are using that energy. It's just
Very
about
true.
how we're using that energy, in my opinion here. So I usually say to my students, no disturbance. There's only energy.
Yeah.
So if anything disturb you, just bring it in as a part of your work. Bring it in as a part of your message, because there's a reason why your attention is coming to it. Uh, so I mean, it's as we talked about. There's the disturbance online, and when we are physical anyway. So it's more about how we are using it. But I think with the returning to being do the physical service, doing the physical things, that's as we mentioned before. When we have done it before, it's not that difficult to come back. But I believe if we have only been doing online work and suddenly going to out to stand in front of people, that can be a challenge, and it can be frightening, as well as I have heard from mediums. Oh, they really don't like to work online because they only have the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That
and,
brings
and
up.
they will never go online because they don't want to work on the screen.
Yeah. That
Because
does bring up. Sorry. Jack, you know me by now. Just tell me to shut up. Just say, Lawrence, shut up, and still talking. Um, one thing I did notice coming back into on location was emotions came in, and I know myself the first physical service we had here after the lockdown. Those that know me know I have a tendency to overplan everything to the nth degree. So everything was mapped out, absolutely right. I know exactly what we're doing. Everyone knows what they're doing. This is going to work. It's going to be wonderful. I walked out. I stood up on the platform there behind me and burst into tears because there was people back in my church. I thought, oh, I didn't plan on that. But also with mediums coming to work here, what we did here at Paul, the local mediums, I recruited quite a few of them to come in and chair to keep that energy going of being on the platform. So not working as a medium, but just as importantly, being the chairman. But the people who have come back to work after such a long absence, in the main, have all reported the same thing. I said to one, I won't reveal their name, just be warned, emotions come into it. No, I'll be all right. Afterwards, he said quite a few expletives to me, and he said, I had to really fight back the tears. It was so lovely being back with people. So, yeah, it's funny. You brought up a really good point there, Jack, about people who are learning this craft online and learning how to work. And especially, I like the word of energy, because I found during this time metaphysical practices have come very much to the fore and brought it more into the public eye, because we are working with energy. We are energy. Everything is energy. But yeah, people training online and then coming out into the real world. It was bad enough when we had circles and everything. For those people, there was this bridge between sitting in a circle and developing and getting out onto the platform. And if we go back 15, 20 plus years, the practice was that each circle would have been run by a medium, a platform medium, and out of their circle, they would invite people to come up with them. I remember I went through that process and it was beautiful. And to be A, introduced to the churches, and B, to start to get that experience. So where are we going to go with this? Because this is quite interesting on how this is going to evolve, positive and negative. All right. I do have a concern that there's going to be an awful lot of people who have done 2 or 3 online sessions and are now a medium, and I'm ready to serve your church or your centre. And I think that is going to be something that churches and centres are really going to have to contend with and deal with to the best, shall we say. But very interesting. And talking about the churches and centres, Stephen, where we are seeing such, again, I remember the numbers of online services tonight. How do you feel the effects are going to be on our physical churches and centres when now we've got this vast, almost competition going on?
Well, I think basically if they don't get with the program, they'll be left behind, you know, because I think they're going to run concurrently, and like what you've done, without trying to blow smoke up your
Right, we know.
You've executed it very well from the beginning, you know, and you've shown where you've tried different things, and you've got a very good pattern of work going. A lot of churches have found their sort of the afternoon they want to have their Zoom, and they've got into a pattern, and then it's just about making it a better product, as it were. Because I mean, once you've got, you know, all your videos available or content, most of these churches are going to make money from it while they sleep. If you can get monetized on YouTube and you get so many thousands of views, and I think once as 1 or 2 churches achieve that kind of revenue, the others will wake up and go, oh, okay, so we can get our bills paid for while we sleep and still have in-house, you know, services. Doesn't matter if you've only got 13 people turn up to the Sunday evening demonstration, because you've got 5,000 views that week on your YouTube channel, and that's going to pay the bills. Do you see? So this is somewhere where I can see it going without people trying too hard, because all they've got to do is get their spiritualism right. And if it's presented well online or presented well in the church, either way, it's going to speak for itself. You know, so it still goes back to, you know, good development. And, you know, you'll know a tree by its fruit. If someone is just doing an online course which isn't got much depth to it, and they'll come a cropper somewhere along the line, because, you know, there is real value in how it's been done for the last however many years, because the people who are teaching mediumship now, they're teaching from what they know. They might be teaching their opinion, and you might be different, but all they've got to teach from is their experience, and they've got it. So they've still got something to pass on. It'd be nice to see them get it into, you know, a series of talks from each church go on YouTube, and they'll be there forever, and you can refer back to it and see how things have moved on and grown. And the technology will continue to change, and we have to change with it, you know, because there was a time when, you know, every church had to get a telephone installed, and there was a time when, you know, they all had to get microphones and loop systems installed because they had to move with the times. And the internet is, you know, the next frontier for every church if they want to move into the future.
Nice word, frontier. We've got the lovely Tim Abbott on, who is in Switzerland currently. And just to go back to what we were talking about, and he's doing certificates for those medium who just work online. How interesting. Good evening, Tim. I hope it's lovely out there. What's your thoughts, Jack, on the effect on our centres and churches with the online?
I think it depends, as Stephen is referring to as well. It's very much down to the the churches, how the effect on the church should be. Like you, Lawrence, you have been online all the time. You have been reaching out and things. I believe that I don't believe that I've taken anything away from your church in house events. Maybe by the time it maybe bring even more people in, because more people have heard and learned about Pole Church. I know a lot of churches haven't have said, "Oh, we won't go online because we want to do the real stuff," or whatever words they use. But I think that's we have to realize, as you mentioned before, Lawrence, as well, that this online thing has come to stay.
Mm.
But I don't believe it has come to take over. I think we have to realize here that there's actually sitting, I know it's here from Denmark, there's sitting a lot of people around in the country, around in the world, that don't have a church around the corner. And
Very true.
even though they might have kids that they have to put to bed because they have to get up in school next day. They might have a disability that takes away the mobility, so they can't move themselves to the church. There can be so many different reasons why people are not coming to the physical church. And I think those churches that actually reach out to those people as well will gain from it. As Stephen is talking about, if they're having YouTube channels and things that at the same time maybe can generate money. I'm not so much into YouTube and money part there. Maybe you should talk me, learn me about that, Stephen. But you know, it's I think it's very much down to think church, how it's how the effect is going to be. I
Yeah.
really do. And the approach to it. And I'm sure some churches will have the experience that they will have fewer people now. I've seen discussions, debates where church members talked about now we are reopening. People is not coming because they are watching it all online. It's taking so much away from the churches and things like that. But I don't believe it actually it does, because I know a lot of people myself. I've heard a lot of people talking about we love the online, but we like as much or even better to come into the church or the center or wherever the service or the them is.
Very true.
So it's like you can say again, if it's not online, then somebody is doing dems, and then people going to the dems, they're not coming to the services, or they're not coming to the dems because the services is cheaper or free, you know. But again, in my belief that there is audience, there's congregation for both. It's just about how we work it, how we present it. If the church are working professional and working with the community, I believe that they will support the church.
Indeed. That, as with all things, it's very easy to sort of like latch on to a negative, say, "Oh, we're quiet." I'm not pointing this at anybody whatsoever. We're quiet because you can get all this stuff free online. Well, actually, my weird wiring goes, why are we quiet? What can we do to get more people in? And we've seen quite the revival here at Poole by changing our service formats, changing the music that we do, and just being open to change. And those changes haven't finished yet. I have not got it right the first go. I know that. But we are open to change. And I do not mean this disrespectfully or to upset anybody, but I do find that our pre-COVID approach in our many of our churches and centres, Poole included, we are not innocent here, we were very much on this just wheel of, well, thank you very much, Stephen. That was a lovely demonstration of mediumship. Next week, we've got a really good medium. We've got the lovely Jack. And you heard that every week. And it just became what I lovingly call the sausage machine approach to what is a beautiful gift. The online has given us this opportunity. We would never have had a discussion like this on our platform pre-COVID. You know, if you said,
that's true.
Yeah, if today's service, we're going to have 3 guys up there chatting. It wouldn't have happened.
No.
But now we can talk. Now we can meet other people. Now we can get such a greater input. There's a beautiful comment there from the lovely Tim again, which I'll highlight in a moment. Nights like this are so popular, not only now for the wonderful people that are here live with us, but as a permanent record as well. And from the Evolve podcasts, and they are beautiful because you can take that away and listen to it while you're driving or on the beach or something. But this is what, to me, spiritualism is about. It's about growth. Oh, look out. Sorry, everybody. Soapbox time for Lawrence. It's about growth. You know, we've been in a court for the last 30 years hearing the evidence through our messages. Well, do you not think it's time, actually, we came to a conclusion and got on with this case?
Yes,
right, I'll shut up now. Sorry. I can feel the passion coming up. Lovely Tim Abbott. Good evening again, sir. There is a saying that a church is a spiritual community. Maybe the whole world has become a spiritual community now to the power of technology. Interesting thought, Tim. Interesting. So what's your thoughts there, gents? You know, with this, I believe that the physical in-house churches and centres can work very well hand in hand. Because nights like this, we're talking to some brilliant people who are going to be inspired, hopefully, in the future. I mean, the lovely Steve is actually here in person tomorrow in Poole. So you've got the opportunity to come in and sit in the service and join in with that energy and be part of that service, along with the evidential communication, but more importantly, that philosophy, that oneness, that bringing together. I'm going to shut up now because I'm taking over.
No, but it's nice because in like you were saying, a lot of churches they were doing it a particular way, and they knew how it worked when they got into it. And when I got into spiritualism, I'm reading about modern spiritualism from 1848 onwards, more or less, and what had evolved in all that time. And I'm reading about these mediums, and I'm not seeing them around today. So obviously something's changed. And the idea that it's diluted somehow or things aren't the way they used to be, it's just changed. And there are those mediums out there, but obviously spirit are working with us in a different way. The raps and taps that we got in the early days of modern spiritualism coincided with people's knowledge of technology. The telegraph was the main source of communication with electricity. So the common people would understand raps and taps like Morse code, and spirit communicated that way. And then you see an evolution through technology, radio and television, and you see an evolution hand in hand with how mediumship was presented to the most people. And now we've got the internet. People can understand that there are invisible forces of information passing around. Then why not your loved ones, you know? But if the radio breaks, the signal remains, you know? So the person's spirit is a signal, and technology is showing us other things while we understand it, but we take it for granted. So whatever's happening with the online services, there's a bigger picture that we'll only see when we're on the other side of it.
Very true. Jack, thoughts on that, please?
Yeah, but I can't see much more than I just I agree very much with it, Steve. it's it's just one of those things where you have to say it's come to stay. If we are not going along with it, we will be left behind. Uh, Spiritualism, the mediumship is changing, even though the philosophy behind is still the same, and hopefully it will be the same for many years. But the way, because we are developing as humans, we're developing at mediums, we are developing at recipients, and I believe that in the spirit world, when we are in spirit, we will develop there as well, and the way we are communicating will develop there as well. So it will change by time. So it's, to me, it's very much about how we follow it, or how we go along with it. So yeah, definitely, if we are afraid of changes, uh, we'll just be sitting in the same pond. It might be nice to sit there, but it won't bring us anywhere.
Yeah.
It won't bring anything new in, because just us sitting in that pond. But if they're trying to jump into a new pond in another place, and maybe together with other people, everything will suddenly be different in that way. Uh, Not that we are going that we should forget the past, but because definitely we shouldn't. We should appreciate the past. We should look at the past. We should learn from the past, but we shouldn't be stuck in the past.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion. But I mean, that's important, not only for the mediumship, but also for spiritualism as a whole, to move forward in that way. Not be afraid of doing things a little bit different than we used to be. It has always been like that, so we're going to continue with doing that. This works 30 years ago, so it must work the next 30 years. It might do for you, might do for us, might do for the church, but maybe not for the community, and maybe not for the congregation. So they will stay away because they're getting a bit fed up with it, as it always is.
Yeah.
And I think, as we talked about this effect that online had on churches and sinners, I don't believe that the online thing has that negative effect on the in-house events. I believe that the online thing, if we use it right, it will have a positive effect, because we can reach out to new people. I know a lot of people that come into spiritualism, have come into being aware of mediumship and what is the service and all these things. They would never have walked into a church and walked into a center where there was service on. They would never have done. But because they had the opportunity to just sitting home in their living room and see it on screen, it's like, wow, this is interesting. Oh, I'm going to watch next week as well. After I've seen it a couple of times, oh, maybe on Sunday we should try to go down to, for example, a Pool Church to see the service on location. It's so. So I believe in changes. I believe in new things. Um, Now I know, Ron, you have worked a little bit experimenting with new formats of service and things like that. And I know we have had a lot of chats about, but it is about. I know Tim, when Tim is teaching, he always talking to the students about this beautiful swan on the surface, and underneath it's paddling all the way. Every time a wave comes in, it's just adjust. And I think that's not only for students in mediumship; that's for churches and centers and things like that. That they should use the swan as well. So looking good, nice on the surface, but underneath just adjust all the time. And when there's wave coming, whoa, okay, I'll just adjust and come back on track again. So it's just move it all the time, try new things out and things like that.
Yeah. Excellent. Lovely Christina from Stockholm. which says, I am grateful for the abilities to attend Zoom services, but they can never replace the services in reality. To sing together, to feel the healing energies and meet together is wonderful. Really good little pertinent point there, Christina. My energy, my feelings are that I would like to see the virtual spiritualism become much more of a teaching and a training aid where we can have these discussions. And our services then need to, the churches and centres are going to have to start actually reviewing, because as Steve pointed out, there's a lot more people coming into our churches and centres now, not only because they've seen it online, but also I think in the main, everybody has had their mortality challenged. Everybody has had a wake-up call. Everybody has looked at their partner or their family and thought, oh, good God, what would I do if anything happened to you? Or what would you do if anything happened to me? So it really sort of like promoted that eternal question of why am I here? And what's going to happen to me when I'm not here? So that has also spurred on quite an investigation of our movement. And I believe firmly, and again, no disrespect to anybody or any places, we've got to rise to that challenge in presenting nights like this where we can talk and people can ask questions, but also within our churches and centres, regain that balance of community. We have several services a month now which do not contain evidential mediumship, and they are busy. In fact, they are thriving because people have suddenly found that spiritualism isn't just, and I don't mean this wrong energy at all, I've got your mother here. Spiritualism is about life. You know, it's what we do every day. When we wake up in the morning, when we walk this world, this is where spiritualism helps us. So, sorry, soapbox time again. Well, tonight's show was all Lawrence Saville. But I would really like to think that we can really build a good, strong bond between our physical churches and centres and our virtual presence also. And the virtual presence being in the format of, instead of just transferring our services, what we were doing in-house to online, and that's it, I would like to see more of this openness, this talking, this discussing, finding out about people, meeting people from all over the world and hearing what they've got to say and being able to ask questions as well. And nights like this where we take a subject and do what we can do with it. So I think the future is actually full of potential. It's only our old phobias, fears, and uncertainties that will hold us back.
Yeah, I think just because we can do it differently doesn't mean it's been done wrong in the past.
Correct.
And that's where a lot of the fear comes, I think, where people think, well, are you saying that how we've been doing it is incorrect? And it's just different. Yeah. It was correct for the time and the era, and things are just changing, but they're overlapping. It's not like a hard line where church has got to be exactly like this tomorrow, completely different as it was today. It's about adding on the technology to the services and still keeping your services good, honest spiritualism, where it's about the mediumship and the philosophy. And like Jack was saying, spiritual principles don't change, but we change to grow into them. And, you know, we've got principles to guide us, and we know that they are eternal and they are good, and we can apply them to what we do in everything. So when we set up a new group, when we use technology, we can see that it's us putting it into action, and the intention and the meaning behind it is still the same. We're still trying to bring people together. We're still trying to provide an environment where a medium can give a message to the recipient as clearly as possible, whether it's in a church or on an online platform. You take the same sort of care and attention to it. So it's not like we're completely changing anything. We're just applying good old-fashioned good practice to a new phenomenon.
Very good. Very good. Jack, sir, anything to say there?
Yeah, but again, I can just agree, and I know one of the things that we have talked about here is, and we have talked about as well, Lawrence, especially the importance of the philosophy of the principles behind this behind spiritualism. And as we're talking about here, it's so much more than just giving a message. But what we have been talking about here is that maybe we can bring a bit of more of philosophy within the message, within the way we deliver our messages. Again, it's a new thing to look at. It's a can be a different way to deliver a message. I know I have in circles and training situations, I have done like small exercise where I said to the students, okay, just start with a little inspiration. Don't think about who's there with you. Just start with a little inspiration. Start talking about something that just comes to your mind. And start, oh, I want to talk about the moon, and the moon is so and so, and start a little bit of philosophy with that. And suddenly, hey, and that is here is actually the one who's talking about the moon here, and he's talking about because so and so, and because of the memories you had, or he's talking about here you was out looking at the moon yesterday, something like that. There's so many different ways we can deliver a message, but again, it's a part of our development, and I believe as a medium, we'll never finish developing our mediumship. It's a lifetime experience, can put it that way, and it's like, and again, being open to changes, being open to different ways to deliver it.
Very true. Very
And
true.
in my mind, if we can bring a bit more of the philosophy in, not taking away the messages, but maybe play a little bit with it, put things a little bit different together sometimes can just make such a difference. I like the idea about what you're doing to do services totally without messages. I have people here in Denmark come to me and say, "Oh, we love the services, but we don't need the messages." But I have said to them, I hear what you say. I'm really happy to hear it. But we have, but my answer have always been, but we have to have the messages as a part of the service, because that's a part of our belief system that we can communicate with the afterlife.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But again, we can prove that communication in many different ways.
indeed. Well, Stephen very nicely hauled my backside out of the fire by what he said, but Jack has firmly put it back into the fire. So thank you, Jack. And just to clarify that point, I am not decrying the evidential mediumship, but I just want a more roundness approach. We're very much emphasising on healing because our healing team here at Poole has changed, and I'm very pleased to say we've got a very large number of gentlemen on our healing team now. As we are finding with those coming in for healing, there's quite a high proportion of gentlemen again coming in for healing, which is absolutely astounding. So everything's on the change, and we keep moving, and we keep experimenting with things. And I think that's the thing, the key energy we've got to keep is, don't be afraid to try something. Try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, go back to where it stopped working and have another go. But I think we've always been a progressive. We've always been very much of the activists. You go through the history of modern spiritualism, the great figures of the past were all reformers of their age. Because that knowledge, what is greater knowledge than we don't die? I'm sorry, I don't know what anybody else wants, but to me, that is like, wow. Because once the truths of that really start to get recognized, you can move mountains. Trust me. Gentlemen, thank you. I knew tonight would be very interesting, and true to form, it has been. Thank you, everybody who has joined in. We hope that you found something to take away and mull over and discuss, because this is how we learn. It's about talking about things. Next Saturday, we have the welcome return of Malcolm Robinson from Scotland, who talks about UFOs and poltergeists. So it's going to be a very different evening next week. Malcolm, I actually had the pleasure of meeting a little while back. So there's now a little bit more of a bond there, because I actually know the man. I shook his hand and I took a fag off him as well. So, gentlemen, if you've got anything parting comments to say, please do so.
No, but just keep up the good work, Laurie. You're doing a fantastic job, and thanks for inviting me.
Well, it's only maintained because people like yourselves give up the time, and I'm not blowing the smoke back. It's true. You know, we are all on these new paths now, and it is exciting. Jack, sir.
Yes, and again, I can just say to continue the good work. You're such a great ambassador for Spirit, the way you work your church. So it's could wish that we have more people doing so much to promote spiritualism the way you do.
The check's in the post. Thank you, Jack. Lola, have you got anything to say?
No.
No. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Everybody watching, thank you,
Lawrence.
And we look forward to catching up again in the future.
It's always a good time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.